By now, it is no secret that trading card games have always held a special place in my heart. In this series, Raikourider and myself will be opening 24 packs or one box of a core Yu-Gi-Oh set. We will continue to open a set in chronological order week after week. We will use these cards to construct a deck and then face off against each other in a best 2 out of 3 match. Each match will have 3 prizes up for grabs, with 2 prizes going to the winner and 1 going to the loser. These prizes can range from individual wildcards, to starter or structure decks, to sealed booster packs, or even event cards that were only handed out at select tournaments. However, we cannot rest on our laurels. Between the ever-evolving nature of the Forbidden and Limited list, the cards that we ourselves choose to remove from the game, and the way that the game itself changes throughout the years, all of our matches will increase in complexity and also remain fresh. This is yet another Yu-Gi-Oh! Progression series. Alright, so last week actually worked out well for once. Granted, it required us having a minimalized card pool, but you know what? I will take anything I can get at this point, considering that we are about a third of the way in terms of wins compared to Rai. Anyway, we're on to the next set, which is Return of the Duelist. This set introduced itself in August of 2012, and this set actually introduced multiple different archetypes. It came out with the Prophecy archetype, which those of you who played during this time will recognize as the set that fought against the Dragon Rulers. Madolche, which is one of my personal favorite archetypes. They have the Chronologies, which are a series of monsters based on ancient artifacts. And they also introduced the Heroic archetype, which is basically the Heroic Challengers, the Heroic Champions, and so forth. So, scrolling through, we're going to go ahead and discuss a few of the key commons and whatnot early on. Most of the ones here are kind of simplistic and based on their specific archetype. So, like, we see a number of the Chronomaly monsters here, we see a few of the Prophecy monsters here, we see a few of the Madolches here, and we even see a couple of cards like Geargia Accelerator, which helps support the Geargia archetype, which is actually a pretty good card too. You can special summon it from your hand if you have a Geargia monster, and then when this card's sent from the field to the grave, you could target a Geargia and special add it to your hand from your graveyard. So overall, pretty solid effect. Looking down more into the spells and traps section, we see things like Spellbook of Power, we see Madolche Chateau, which is actually a really solid field spell for the archetype, because Madolches all have the effect that if they would hit the graveyard, you could shuffle them back into the deck. Well, with Chateau on the field, you're allowed to add them back to your hand instead of shuffling it to the deck, which is actually a really big benefit. And then finally, for the commons, we also see Light Ray Mador. This is another light variant of another monster from before, this time around being the Aqua Mador. If 3 or more of your light monsters are banished, you can special summon this card from your hand. It's level 6, which is very nice, and once per turn it can't be destroyed in battle. Because of the fact that this doesn't require you to remove cards from being banished or to banish monsters, this actually means that you can special summon multiple copies of this card pretty easily all at the same time, which can be beneficial. Scrolling up into the rares, we see a few more cards that help out with the Chronomalies, as well as a few of the Madolches, like Madolche Chevalier, which is actually a pretty solid monster. It has the effect that you can't have any other face-up Madolche monsters targeted for attacks, except for this one. Which kind of, it sucks because it's worded in the sense that you can't Marauding Captain the field with 2 of them. But even still, 1700 on a Earth Warrior is actually not too bad, especially given the fact that there are a lot of ways to help boost the Madolches in general. Soul Drain is another big rare card that we want to pay attention to. You activate it by paying 1,000 life points, and then any monsters that are banished, as well as in the graveyard, can't activate their effects. So, there are definitely a lot of monsters that trigger when they hit the graveyard, or get banished, and this card basically shuts those down. So we're definitely going to have to pay attention to that. Going up into the super rares, we see really not too many insanely powerful ones. I think the big one we'd want to pay attention to is Madolche Mageline, who has the effect that when it's normal or flip summon, you get to add a Madolche from your deck to your hand, which basically just means you have yourself a bit of a Rhoda of sorts, which is kind of nice. As a super rare, that means that we're probably not likely to see it, but hopefully we can see at least a copy of it later on if we build enough, if we collect enough for the deck. And then scrolling into the Ultra and Ultimate rares, we actually see quite a few pretty good ones here. Spellbook of Secrets and Spellbook Magician of Prophecy are really big cards for the Spellbook archetype, and that's actually, like, both of them are pretty notable. Spellbook Magician has the effect that if it's normal summon or flip face up, you get to add a Spellbook card from your deck to your hand, which is really nice because you don't have a once per turn clause here. So if you manage to flip this card multiple times, you get the effect multiple times that turn. And Spellbook of Secrets is important just because of the fact that it lets you search another Spellbook spell from your deck to your hand with a hard once per turn attached. When you add certain cards that get benefits from playing multiple Spellbooks, it's a huge benefit there. And then we see ourselves Princess Madolche Puddingcess. This is basically one of the key cards for the Madolche archetype. It has the effect that if you have no monsters in your graveyard, this card gains 800 attack and defense, and if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can target a card your opponent controls and destroy it. So while 1800 on a level 5 in a best case scenario is honestly not that great, the fact that she can still pop a card regardless is pretty helpful. And there are a couple of cards later on that will have an effect kick in if Puddingcess is on the field as well. So we definitely want to pay attention to that. And then we scroll into the secret rares, and truth be told, there's only one of these that I think is important at the moment, and that would be Geargian X. It requires 2 level 4 machines. You could detach a material once per turn to add a level 4 or lower machine from your deck or graveyard to your hand. And when this card leaves the field, you could target a level 3 or lower Geargia in your graveyard and special summon it. So, it's actually a pretty solid card, and there are ways to abuse this effect with the Geargias as support. The only other card I think would be important would be High Priestess of Prophecy, and this is only if you're running the Prophecy deck in general, which, given the fact that this is going to be a high rarity archetype, and we're playing progression, that means that we're probably not going to be seeing this, hopefully. But she has the effect that you can reveal 3 spellbooks in your hand, special summon it from your hand, and then once per turn, you can banish a spellbook from your hand or graveyard to target a card on the field and destroy it. Which, given that the Prophecy archetype is built around collecting and using a whole lot of spellbook cards every turn, that means that summoning this out would be fairly easy for the most part. And then finally, we have to talk about the Ghost Rare, which is also a Ultra Rare, and that's Heroic Champion Excalibur. This card requires 2 level 4 Warrior type monsters, 2000 attack and defense, and has the effect that you could detach 2 materials from this card to double its attack until your opponent's next end phase. So effectively, you get a turn of having 4000 attack points, which is really good. The only problem is it doesn't have any kind of protection associated with it, which is kind of a problem. But that being said, if we still hit it, that'd be nice. So we're going to go ahead and get into our pack opening, and before we do that, we have to go into our 3 packs of Turbo Pack 8. We actually switched off of Turbo Pack 7 once we got to this set, so we get to make that change, and hopefully we could find something kind of useful out of these packs, because otherwise they're just going to be nothing but filler. Let's flip the first pack. Okay, Alligator Sword sucks, and Elephant Statue of Disaster I believe we have 3 copies of already. Magician Circle's actually not that bad though, because It has the effect that if a spellcaster declares an attack, each player special summons a spellcaster with 2,000 or less attack from their deck in attack mode. Now, the nice thing about this is, because of the fact that it requires a spellcaster monster attacking, that means that we don't even have to worry about the opponent having a spellcaster to attack with. And the nice thing too is the fact that this card actually only requires you to have a spellcaster in your deck to work with, because there were actually quite a few arguments in the past about this card, whether or not it required your opponent to have one in their deck to work with too. But thankfully that's not the case. So worst case scenario, Rai summons out something like, say, a Magician of Faith in there, which I doubt he's going to run anymore, but still. And then best case scenario, there's just no Magicians to work with, so who knows, but it's a decent card. Second pack. Ooh, okay, so really Eternal Rest is interesting. I think we already have a playset though. Goes in Match is actually a really nice card though, and I don't remember if we have any of these. So each player can only control one attributed monster, and all other face-up monsters they control are sent to the graveyard. Basically, this card tells archetypes like the Sixth Samurai to go fuck themselves. Which, as a side note, that means that once we start running our Sixth Samurai deck, we need to make sure we have ways to get rid of this damn card. But it's a solid card nonetheless. And finally, our third pack. Second Goes in Match and a second Magician Circle. So, pretty good. So now we're going to go ahead and get into the actual packs. Alright, so we have 24 packs of Return of the Duelist. Let's just get straight to it. First pack flip. And right off the bat, we don't really see anything incredible, but that's not too big a deal. Okay, third pack, we actually see something kind of useful. Madolche Chateau, which is good. We want to see at least one or two more of those. We see a Maw Hunter, which is actually kind of interesting. If we could get a few more of this, as well as a couple of Paw Hunter and Sis Hunter, then we can be in a pretty good position. This card has the effect that when it's once per turn, you can normal summon a level 4 Light Thunder, except Maw Hunter as an extra normal summon. And I believe Paw Hunter has the same effect, so that'd be kind of nice. And we see a Madolche Mufuel as well, which is kind of sweet. Okay, so there's our first holo. It's a super rare Rebound. I actually don't know what this does. Let's see. When your opponent activates a spell, trap, or monster effect that returns a card from the field to the hand, negate that effect, and if you do, send a card from your opponent's hand at random or their side of the field to the graveyard. When this set card is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, draw a card. Okay, that's actually not terrible. In fact, I guess that's actually kind of decent because Compulse is still a thing. So, I guess that's a nice little detail. But, I'm not sure. We'll have to think about that one. As for the rest of the pack, it doesn't really look like there's anything too special here, but oh well. Okay, so we have another super rare in Blue Dragon Ninja. Let's see. Once per turn, you can discard a ninja monster and a ninjutsu art from your hand to target a face-up monster your opponent controls. This turn, that monster's effects are negated, and that monster can't attack. Yeah, that's not really a great effect. The fact that it also is a level 5 and doesn't have a way to cheat itself out kind of bites. So, yikes. On the positive note, we do see a second Maw Hunter, though, so that's kind of nice. Okay, so we see a Paw Hunter. That's good to see. So let's double check it. Once per turn, you can normal summon a level 4 Light Thunder, except Paw Hunter. Okay, good. So it is the same as Maw Hunter. Good to know. Hopefully we can see a couple more of this then as well. And we see a Madolche Bapple, which is also kind of helpful for the Madolche line. Let's see. Okay, so we see a Light Ray Mador, which is big, and we have a Fairy King Alberdish? Alberdish? I don't honestly know how to pronounce that. It requires 2 level 4 Earth monsters, and then you can detach a material. All non-Earth monsters lose 500 attack and defense. Not the best of effects, but, I mean, for a somewhat generic rank 4, I guess we'll take that as a rare. Okay, there's a copy of Soul Drain, so that's something at least. Unfortunately, that's only 1 copy, and it's kind of working best if you have more than 1, which kind of sucks, but at least it's something. Another Mu Fuel, another Accelerator. It looks like that's pretty much it here, too. Okay, so we're on to the last 3 packs, and not gonna lie, so far it's been kind of god-awful. We've seen a grand total of, I want to say, 2 holos, and that's about it. We've seen 1 Paw Hunter, 3 Maw Hunter, 1 Soul Drain in terms of important rares, and then that's pretty much it. So hopefully with the last 3 we could see something useful. Let's flip. And looks like we don't really see anything too special. We see another Fairy King Alverdish, a Madolche Butlerusk, and that's about it. So, okay. Second to last pack, once it loads. Yeesh, we have a Spellbook Library of the Crescent, which is alright for the Prophecy deck. The problem is, we don't have pretty much any of the main Prophecy cards. And on top of that, it also is a card that really works best turn 1, so you kind of need multiple copies to make sure you actually get it. Alright, and our last pack, can we get something decent in the close? It doesn't look like it. We get another Bapple, another Butlerusk, and another U-Fuel, and a Geargiano MK2, which I think is our second one, but not necessarily going to be amazingly useful for us, so yeah, unfortunately this pack kind of wound up being a bit of a bust. I mean, man, did we really only get 2 holos out of this entire damn thing? I think we did. Yikes, okay. Well, I guess we're going to have to see what happens. Let's get into the deck edit and see what happens. Alright, so here's the deck we're bringing to tonight's game, and yes, you see it, we are bringing back the Black Wings. Admittedly, I have 4 different decks that I had in mind for this episode, and in the end, the Black Wings won out. It does kind of suck that we're still limited on Kalut and Black Whirlwind, but I feel like this is still a strong enough deck to work out. So, let's go through the card by card. Starting off, we have 3 copies of Blackwing Blizzard the Far North. As usual, this plus a Bora or a Shura means a quick rank 6, or level 6, which can help out a lot. 3 copies of Bora the Spear, 1 copy of Elfin the Raven. This is here mostly just because of the fact that it's an extra level 6 monster. So if we could get this out with, say, Plague Spreader on the field or a Blizzard on the field, that'll make a quick rank 8, and we can switch the battle position of an opponent's monster. 1 copy of Gale, both good for a tuner purpose, as well as cutting a monster's attack in half. 1 copy of Kalut for a little surprise. 3 copies of Shura. 1 Dark Arm Dragon. 1 Glow Up Bulb. 3 copies of Maxi. I'm excited to see Rise reaction to the third one. 1 Plague Spreader Zombie. 1 Sangan, and 1 Witch of the Black Forest. For our spells, we have 1 Allure of Darkness, 1 Black Whirlwind, 1 Book of Moon, 1 Brain Control, 1 cards for Black Feathers. I am a little concerned on this card because of the fact that it requires banishing and cuts out special summons for the turn, but we'll see what happens. If it ends up being too much of a problem, we could always side it out. 1 Dark Hole, 3 MST, 1 Painful Choice, 1 Pot of Duality. Again, same thing. I don't necessarily like that it shuts us out of special summons for the turn, but it might come in handy regardless. 1 Pot of Greed, and 1 Forceful Sentry. And for our traps, we are bringing in our lineup from our rewards from Battle Pack. We have 1 Divine Wrath, 1 Fiendish Chain, we have our 2 Icarus Attack on hand, 2 Magic Cylinder, 1 Ring of Destruction, and 1 Solemn Warning. For our side deck, we have a couple of interesting pickups. We have 1 Cyber Valley that we picked up last week, 1 copy of Gores, 1 copy of Kuriboh. The reason this is here is actually because Kuriboh actually has come in handy before, and I've had plenty of times where a Kuriboh could have really helped me out. So if I can survive that 1 extra turn, that's all I need. 1 copy of the Wicked Avatar. This is a bit of an oddity, but with how many monsters we're able to special summon anyway, I feel like if we could get this on the field, that'll give us 2 turns that Rai can't activate spell and trap cards, and on top of that, it lets us beat over pretty much anything on the field. 1 copy of Pot of Avarice. This I might switch cards for Black Feathers with if it ends up feeling a little funky. 2 copies of Swords of Revealing Light. This is another bit of an oddity, but I look at it as it could either stall out for a turn, or at the very least, it acts as targeted removal. 3 copies of System Down, just in case Rai's back on the Raikourider again. 3 copies of Call of the Haunted, in case we really need that extra summoning. 1 Deep Dark Trap Hole to deal with his Synchro monsters, and 1 copy of Starlight Road. And for our extra deck, unfortunately, we really lack on the ranked monsters on the XEs, so we're going to fill it out as much as we can with Synchros. We have our Armory Arm, 1 Black Rose Dragon, 1 Blackwing Silverwind the Ascendant, 1 Blackwing Armor Master, 1 Colossal Fighter, 2 copies of Gaianite Force of Earth, 1 Goyo Guardian, 1 Red Dragon Archfiend, 1 Scrap Dragon, triple Stardust Dragon, 1 Thought Ruler Archfiend, and the 1 Leviathan Dragon to round things out. So, let's see what happens. Guys, it's time to duel.
So, there are some really big tins on the line in this episode.
Yeah, I didn't really mention that just yet, but yeah, there's some important stuff coming up here.
Nice Dino Rabbit package.
Yeah. Especially considering the fact that we're only, what, like 2 episodes away from our bans? And honestly, that's not really far enough along on my radar yet to matter.
Oh no! I think we're going to be seeing on one end of the spectrum of the other a lot of Logia.
Yeah, probably.
But we shall see. This is going to be a very pivotal episode.
It is, and that's a good start.
With Paper Gang. Got with Paper Gang. Come on.
Thank God. All right. Because God knows I need that extra turn. All right. So draw. Standby, main. I'm not entirely thrilled about this, but I feel like, because it's probably going to show something, but why not? I'm going to activate Pot of Duality.
That's a duality.
Oh, well, I already know exactly what I'm picking up.
Okay, back on the birds, I see. Okay, there's your Maxi. Maxi's a pretty good pickup, but looks like you're back on the birds.
Yeah, honestly, I had like 4 different deck ideas to work with, and I was like, do I want to go with this, or do I want to try something else? But in the end, I feel like this is a good enough test for right now. So I'm going to just do a humble T-set and pass.
Draw for turn, standby phase, main phase. You are not going to like when I'm doing too much at all. I am going to set 2 cards face down. I'm going to set a monster, and then I'm going to activate Book of Tayo, targeting my set monster.
Oh, Jesus Christ, you're running Empty Jar?
I just got this out of the battle packs.
Oh my God. Let me think real quick. I think I'm gonna go ahead and chain the Maxi then to Morphing Jar, just on the off chance.
Why not? You're gonna lose it.
And of course I have the 1 Collude already.
That's pretty good. So I am going to activate 1 Day of Peace.
Oh, God, yeah. My niece doesn't like this either.
That does not surprise me in the slightest. So I am going to... activate Book of Eclipse.
Okay.
So that's going to set the Morphing Jar. I'm going to activate Spell Reproduction, pitching the Shallow Grave and a second Book of Eclipse to get Book of Tayo to my hand.
Oh my god. Okay.
I will set 2 additional cards face down. Then I will activate said Book of Tayo.
Alright.
This is a nice way to get to see your whole deck, too.
Yeah, it is. Oh, man.
Well, there's Pot of Greed.
Of course it... Well, I mean, at this point...
It had to show up eventually.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna... Mallet for... How much do I want to mallet for? Let's mallet for 4.
The sad part is I can't even be mad because I pulled Exodia bullshit like this a few episodes back, so I have no room to talk.
1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, there's the 1 Book of Moon I'm allowed to play.
Now, question. Does that mean that Morphing Jar gets flipped back up because of Book of Eclipse, or no?
Book of Eclipse only flips up your monsters at the end phase.
Oh, okay.
So I will set this, although if this goes correctly, according to my favor, there will not be another turn. Because I did draw a second Book of Tayo.
God damn it! Alright.
So I will pitch this 80 changer, and this dandy.
Oh, man. And of course, 2 of my solutions already get taken out now. Well, multiple of my solutions get taken out.
Trigger dandy.
Alright.
So I will get 2 fluff tokens. Then I am going to activate Book of Eclipse.
God. Yeah, that's fine.
So that'll set the jar. Effective AD changer engrave.
Target 1 monster. It's not face down. Oh my god. I mean, it's not face up. Jesus.
Nope.
Yeah, that's fine.
Trigger jar. Yeah, unfortunately, duality is not going to be too helpful. Okay, now I actually have to think about how to proceed from here. Do I have another...
Let's see. So you have 2 Tayu spent. Oh. Just on the off chance that this actually matters. Let me remember that.
Yeah, we are still under 1 Day of Peace.
I don't want a Watt Lemur situation happening.
Don't have that, which is kind of annoying.
Oh, I just realized. Well, shit. Okay, let me I just realized I made a slight error. Wait, was Dandy in this last batch of discards or the previous?
Dandy was last batch.
Okay, so I get to draw now.
Yeah, you do get to draw from XC. Yeah, you're correct.
Fat lot of good it's gonna do me, but
what is the line? I have to find the line here because this is a little complicated what I'm gonna have to do.
okay.
Like this line, but I think I have to try it.
Alright, let's see it.
I'm gonna activate the Shallow Grave. I will target the
Shallow Grave.
Cyber Jar that's in my graveyard.
Interesting. Okay. I will target my... Normally I'd pick my Sangan, but right now that's kind of a bad thing. Is it level 4 lower monster, or is it just a
any
monster?
Any monster. And they get set.
Alright, I guess I'll bring back my Elf and the Raven then.
Okay, I will bring back my Jar. You will draw a card off of Maxi.
True.
Then I'm going to... I'm going to banish AD Changer to flip the Jar.
Alright.
So that's going to blow everything up.
Oh my...
Let's see what we wind up with here. There's a very dead dad.
Yes, there is.
So the Needleworm I'm obviously going to set. And then I'm going to put the rest of this nonsense in my hand.
I feel like I might as well just throw these in the graveyard now. So I get another draw. Because of... Wow. And here I thought... And it's funny, because I said before that you're the one person that would never take the Maxi challenge. And sure enough, you're doing it and winning.
I haven't even special summoned that many monsters, is the sad thing.
Yup.
You have 5 cards in your deck?
Yeah. I was gonna say, if you got a Book of Tayo or another AD changer...
Did I draw another AD changer? I think my other AD changer is still in my deck, unfortunately.
Figures.
I'm gonna activate One Day of Feast.
Oh, right, that's not once per turn. Okay.
No, it is not. Then I'm going to activate Spell Reproduction, pitching
Oh, God.
Gold Sarcophagus, and Stumbling to get my Book of Tayo to hand. Then I'm gonna flip the Book of Tayo, or use the Book of Tayo to flip up the Needleworm that I had set. So that should mill the rest of the cards in your deck.
Yep, so all you have to do is end your turn, and I'm done.
I'll set a back row, could be anything, and then I'll pass the turn.
Yep.
Well, that happened.
Yes, that did. Fuck.
Well, maybe we'll see what happens if I don't get Morphing Jar in my opening hand.
Maybe. Thank God that that's a limited card, because... Oh my God.
It's also just super hard for us to get.
True. Standby, main. I'm just gonna set 2. set a monster and pass.
Card for turn. Standby phase, main phase. I did not get Morphing Jar in my opening hand. I did get this, though, so I'll get it eventually.
Alright, 1 second. Yeah, everything's good. So what the... I mean, I know exactly what you're digging out. There's not really much I can do about that.
Yeah, it's gonna be the jar, obviously.
Okay, so I have 2 turns to kill you.
Then I think I'm just gonna set a pair and pass.
Alright. During the end phase, I'm gonna MST the back row.
It was a bait.
Alright. Draw, standby main.
I mean, if you didn't have all 3 of those in, you were gonna put them in now.
True. Alright, I don't like this, but I have to. I'm gonna summon Sangan, flip summon Sangan.
Sure.
I'm gonna summon out Glow-a-Bulb.
You're gonna make a 4?
Hello, Armory Arm.
I bet you can't wait to get Balmung.
Yeah. Alright.
To have an actual good Synchro 4.
Activate Sangan.
Sangan's fine.
Let's see. Let's add... Let me see. Okay. I'm going to add... Witch to my hand.
Floaters float.
Then... God, I can't believe I'm doing this, but... I'm going to mill a card to bring back Glow-a-Bulb.
Oh, you're making a 5?
I'm going to Call of the Haunted, targeting Sangan.
And just to make it clear, Sangan is not yet a once per turn.
No, it is not.
Oh, this is to go into, like, scrap?
Yes, it is. Sangan effect again.
Yup.
I will add a copy of... Gale to my hand.
Gale's fine.
Let's see. So Glow-a-Bulb has been used. That way I can keep track. And then... I'm going to activate Scrap's effect, targeting Call of the Haunted and your face down.
Sure, it's Needleworm.
Battle phase. 28.
28 in.
Main phase 2, I will set a card and pass it to you.
Card for turn.
Ooh, I have a chance.
Standby phase, 1 turn on Gold Sark.
Yep.
Main. Well, I'm gonna give you something to use Scrap Dragon on.
Messenger. Alright.
Then I'm gonna set my entire hand. Go ahead.
Okay. Draw. Standby, main.
I mean, I'm gonna make you use that.
You are. I'm going to set a card, and then use Scrap's effect, targeting Messenger and my face down right here. Then I'm going to run out my Witch of the Black Forest.
Sure.
Battle. Witch into your defense.
That's 80 changer.
And Scrap for 28.
28 in.
And I'll end my turn.
Alright, card for turn. Standby phase, I'll put the jar in my hand.
Yes, you will.
Go to main. Set a card. Set a monster, could literally be anything.
Yep.
Banish the AD changer. Target the set.
Okay. So, flip the jar. And chain link to Fiendish Chain.
Chain. Does this work? I think this will stop Fiendish Chain.
I think it does.
I believe this will stop the Fiendish Chain.
Unfortunately, it does stay on the field, but it will no longer affect Morphing Jar even once it flips.
That's what I thought. So Morphing Jar will get... So the Morphing Jar will get set, and then Fiendish Chain will no longer negate it because it's no longer face up.
Correct.
And then we will resolve the effect of Morphing Jar.
Yep. Which I am not even going to bother with Max C this time around.
I actually think the fact that you chained Max C is why you lost the game. Activate card destruction.
Damn it! Of course, you have that when I have the out for next turn.
That does put an AD changer in my graveyard as well. Then I will set one dueling book, please. Set 2, set 3. What's in my graveyard? Do I have one in there already? I better get this out of my deck before it becomes a problem. I'm gonna Foolish Burial.
Oh, God. Okay.
This is just gonna dump an AD changer.
Well, that's 10 more cards that I no longer will have. So that you've got half of my deck on lockdown.
Activate AD changer.
Alright. Not gonna lie, you are so lucky that that I did not go the Dark World route like I originally thought. Because all it would have taken was 1 gold and you would have been screwed.
Oh boy, if you did that, I would just lose the game on the spot. Let's go... Let's go Book of Eclipse.
Okay. No Tayu. So that's 1. Okay. All good?
That sets your monsters too.
Oh, right.
Then I am going to just banish the last AD changer.
Alright.
Unfortunately, I couldn't really use the Book of Eclipse there because if I set it, I can't use it.
Right.
So I need a way to set my Morphing Jar now. Let's activate 1 Day of Peace.
Okay. I'm almost done. I know. Sorry.
So you're at 9 cards. Activate 1 Day of Peace.
Alright.
Activate One Day of Feast. Then I will activate... What do I need? What do I need to finish this? I got it.
Alright.
I'm going to activate Spell Reproduction. I will pitch Pot of Greed. Never thought I would say that. And Magical Mallet to get the Book of Eclipse that's in my graveyard.
Alright.
Activate Book of Eclipse.
Okay.
So that's going to set the jar. Activate Book of Tayo to flip the jar.
Alright.
So that's going to toss all our hands away. We'll draw 5. Oh, this should go to the graveyard because that resolved. Then I'm just going to proceed to the end phase and let Book of Eclipse resolve.
Which flips these up. I draw 2. And yeah, that's game.
I had to, because this deck was going to become unplayable very, very quickly, and it took... I have been wanting to play Empty Jar for a very long time in Progression Series, because I just happen to have everything for it except Morphing Jar, but Morphing Jar is so damn hard to get.
See, I'm the opposite. I've had most of it, including the Morphing Jar. I just never thought it would be in a position to where it would actually be useful. This is crazy, like... Man, and the crazy thing is, I really didn't have much of anything to side for this. Like, all I sided in was like my 3 Call of the Haunted, and I'm not even sure what else I sided in actually, if anything.
This deck is so much more inconsistent than the version I'm used to playing, because the version of this that I'm used to playing makes Gallant Granite to find Morphing Jar, so it's actually really difficult for me to find the card. I got lucky finding a way to get to it quickly.
Right.
I actually had a ton of attack floodgates in my side deck, just in case you brought in backer removal. I was going to try to... I figured you were going to bring in backer removal, so I was trying to both overload your backer removal with set cards, as well as bring in a ton of stuff. I actually brought in Grave of the Super Ancient Organism for Scrap Dragon.
Oh, wow.
To be able to stop Synchro Monsters.
Right.
And I couldn't play things like Threatening Roar because this deck is supposed to be playing Magical Stone Excavation, but Magical Stone Excavation is very difficult to get.
Yeah, I think I have 1 copy of it, and I think you might have one. Because didn't they have one in the Merrick deck?
There might have been one in there, but Spell Reproduction worked just fine.
Yeah.
And there was one other thing that you didn't get to see with the card destruction. I have a copy of Serial Spell in this deck.
Oh God.
That's been an Empty Jar deck since they got started with, like, because this is from Rise of Destiny.
True.
This was also back when no one could play Empty Jar because the cards that you needed to make it were $300 a card.
Yeah.
But
man, that's...
I'm just glad to see this degeneracy actually showing up in Progression Series, and all you have to do to stop this deck from ever showing up again is banning Morphing Jar.
Yeah, honestly, that's the sad part. Like, I could do that, and I probably will at some point. It's just a matter of I have one, and I had teched it in a couple of times, but yeah, this is This is probably going to adjust my priorities just a little.
And just because I did this to you, I will let you in on something important that I did at the end of the last episode.
And what's that?
I crafted an effect veiler.
Ooh, nice. So, there is one thing I feel like I should probably mention to you, and I'm sure you're probably not too surprised about this. Check my graveyard. Notice this.
Oh, did you craft the third maxi?
I crafted my third. I figured, if nothing else, this is either going to help force the issue on banning, at which point it's a card that I'm kind of okay letting go, or at 3 copies, it's a lot less of a sacky card for us to you to deal with, especially because in a couple episodes, it's going to matter a lot more, because guess what's in one of the tins for the second wave? Depending on how things go, you might end up with a maxi too.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
We will have to see, but I am very excited about these tins because, yeah, one of them has Dirt Rabbit in it.
Yep. So we'll get to that in just a second.
Promos that came out, we did get a little bit ahead of ourselves with the tins. The tins have been coming out in 2 waves for a long time, and to be able to stay consistent, we're going to be distributing all 4 tins once the second wave comes out, so we won't be seeing Dino Rabbit in Progression Series quite yet, but it's coming. It's coming.
Yep.
But for now, we have this Elemental Hero Fusion that probably won't see too much play in the Progression Series, as well as Slifer the Sky Dragon, which also won't see too much play in the Progression Series because that card is complete ass, but we have 2 very powerful Xyz monsters. The first one is Kochi Dragon, which is a generic 4 that can be a double attacker if it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, which is quite strong.
Yep.
But the card that I am going to be taking, and will surprise no one, is a card that is extremely banned for multiple reasons, and that is number 16 Shockmaster. This card is not fair.
No, it is not. Especially because 3 level 4s are not that hard to get on the field effectively, and the fact that it negates the effects of of that type of card until the end of your opponent's next turn is just awful. Simply because it means that for 3 turns, you basically can't play anything.
Just anything relevant. Most of the time, it's just going to name monster effects.
Yep. Especially in this metagame.
That you can lock your opponent out for 3 turns is just disgusting.
Oh, yeah. So, with that being the case, I'm going to be smart and pick up the Kochi Dragon because, as it turns out, I currently do not have a rank 4 at all, so I will take a card that can be useful as opposed to letting my Xyz pool stay dwindled.
And then after that, I'm going to grab the hero just because, well, I do have some kind of hero pool, but I don't think it's going to get used, and Slifer is just god-awful.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm okay with taking Slifer. Who knows? Maybe I'll find a way to make use of it somewhere, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Alright, well, I have a lot of winnings to discuss, so I'll leave you to yours as well.
Yep. Well, that wound up not doing anything like I had hoped it would, which sucks. But then again, I sure as hell did not expect to face off against Empty Jar. So, yeah. We get 1 spin of the catch-up wheel, and hopefully we hit something good. So we'll spin this a few times, get it going nice and fast, and hope for the best here. Okay, a wild card ultra rare. I think I can make some good use of that. I just need a moment. Alright, so after a fair bit of discussion and deliberation on it, I've decided our ultra rare is going to be a copy of Madolche pudding sets. The reason is because it really boiled down to either a copy of this or a copy of Six Samurai Anishi. And Legendary Six Samurai Anishi is useful, but at the same time, that's a bit more of a win more situation for the Six Sams anyway. And pudding sets is kind of necessary for Madolche to really work. Now granted, we are currently missing a fair amount of the important Madolche cards, and we don't have a full playset of the big ones from this set, but we do have 8 packs to try to catch up and get cards from that set, so we're going to see what we can do there. But yeah, this is what we're going with, and next episode, I believe, is Abyss Rising. I don't remember exactly what all is in there, but we're going to see what happens. Hopefully we can try to rebound off of this, so we will catch you guys next time.